Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Tuesday tip, where in this video I'm going to be showing you how to build your brand new complete BMX bike. And before we start, we got to unbox this thing and take it out and see what's actually in the box, and then we'll get it on the stand and get it put together. So as I'm opening this thing, I do want to point out and shout out here that this BMX bike was actually donated by Stacked BMX Shop, one of my sponsors, toward the Curtis Rodin Ride Out Akron Street Jam as one of the raffle prizes. Larry at Stacked heard about the cause and immediately wanted to give somehow to it after I asked him if he would be down to. And he offered to throw in a whole complete BMX bike. The jam already went down. Here's some clips from it while I'm talking if you want to see some of the craziest stuff that happened there. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there, but the raffle went off without a hitch and everything went good. So here is the box. And this is everything that's in here. I also want to make sure I say a huge thank you to Stacked for being willing to do that and do something to help out the local Ohio scene here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out some of the videos I've linked in the description down below. A local rider passed and they did a lot to help his family out, and this is part of that, and I'm genuinely happy that I could help make something like this happen. So let's get into building this bike here, but first, it's actually all one piece or one packaging inside the box. This other box that's within the box, this is very important, do not throw it away without that. There's some stacked stickers in here. As you can see, there's not actually a lot to put together here. And before we get this thing up onto the stand, I feel like we should start taking these components apart here so that we don't have it on the stand and have things falling apart. And it's more realistic this way because you're probably opening your complete bike and it's probably on the ground and you're gonna have to do exactly what I'm doing right now. So I'm gonna guess that most complete bikes are going to come packaged very similar to this, and that it's going to be a very similar unboxing experience for most complete bikes out there. So you're gonna just wanna be taking the front wheel or taking things apart and setting them aside separately as far as the things that are actually unattached go. So we're getting the wheel off of here. Okay, so here's our front wheel. We can set that aside. We can set this garbage aside as well. You can see that our handlebars aren't attached anymore either. You can get rid of all this excess cardboard for packaging. We've got a lot of cardboard on the actual bike here, but there's only a certain amount of things that are actually separate, and that is it, actually. So I just realized that I completely neglected to unbox the little box of parts here while we were doing the unboxing, so we're gonna do that right now. And as you can see, we've got a brake cable, we've got two pedals here, we've got a set of front brakes, we've got another lever, we've got some reflectors, as well as we actually have the wrenches necessary to put this entire bike together. That's very interesting. In here as well, we've got a spoke wrench. There's quite a lot included in here. And I think a bell. There's even a bell. That's pretty cool. So we've got a lot of tools and a lot of parts in here. The main ones that we're gonna need, we're not gonna need the brake cables and lever or any of that because we're not gonna be putting on the front brakes on this bike, but you may want to, and I do have dedicated videos for how to install front brakes on a BMX bike, so you can follow that if you want to. All we're going to need really are the pedals from this one, I believe. The pedals, yes, and I guess if you wanna put the reflectors on, you can do so. So that's everything that's inside the box. Now let's get back to the rest of the video. I guess the next thing that I would do if I were you would be to take your handlebars and put them into the stem so that if you have a bike stand or you're gonna do this any other way, these will be attached and not just kind of flopping around. So I'll grab my Allen wrenches and be right back. So on the stem, there are 4 bolts that you're gonna need to take out here. These are 6mm Allen bolts, so you're gonna need a 6mm Allen wrench. Shout out to Park Tool for these Allen wrenches here. But to get the bars on, you're just gonna wanna take these bolts all the way out. You may find that it's easier to do them a little bit at a time versus one all the way out and then moving around. But effectively, you're just gonna need to get these out. So we're gonna rush through that real quick. All right, so once you get the bolts out, the stem plate is free to be removed. And what you're gonna wanna do with this is take your handlebars and place it over the knurled section of the handlebars. The knurled section is just the rough area in the bars, which the knurling makes it less likely for your handlebars to slip forward or backward once installed. What you're gonna wanna do is take the plate, take the handlebars, and put everything together. And then you're gonna wanna take one of your bolts and you're gonna wanna put it into your stem. Sometimes this can be a little difficult to do alone. Okay, then you're gonna put the rest of your bolts in, and what you're gonna really wanna pay attention to when you're doing this is where that knurling sits in your stem. Because that knurling is a specific width, you wanna make sure that it fits inside your stem evenly. You don't want your bars to be off-centered in your stem. This is a very important thing to remember, because it can not only change the safety here if one side is off dramatically, but also it can change the feel of your bike if you have one side off dramatically. So I'm just getting these first 2 started so that the handlebars will be set in place and so that we can put the other bolts in easily. And I also realized while I was doing this that I completely neglected to unbox the other box here. So at this point, you'll have already seen me unbox that. But yeah, moving forward, let's get these stem bolts in here. And another very key thing here with your stem is that you're gonna wanna make sure that the gap on the top and the bottom of your stem here, or either side if you have a top load, is even. And to make it even, if you notice that one side is too tight or too close together and the other side is further apart, all you have to do is loosen the side that is too close together a tiny bit on both bolts and then tighten the other side accordingly. Another thing you can think about while you're doing this is that oftentimes you want to alternate your pattern whenever you're tightening a stem. You want to make sure that you're going a crisscross pattern whenever you're fully tightening it. I just noticed that the gap is off a little bit, so we're going to tighten this down. And you're going to notice that this video isn't a short one because I like to do everything I can to make the absolute best videos possible that are as in-depth as they can possibly be, so that anyone who watches them can understand and get a feel for what they're doing and accomplish it successfully. So we got the stem on here. And the next step that we're going to need to do is get this thing all taken apart and up on the stand in order to put it the rest of the way together. Now I understand that not all of you will have a stand, but the steps are all exactly the same. It's just I'll have it on a stand, whereas you may have it on the ground. And the box itself is a great place to put your bike in order to put it together to keep it off of the ground. So we'll see you at the stand. All right, so we got the bike up on the stand here, and the first thing I noticed is that the seat is loose and we need to tighten this thing down. What this seat post clamp takes is a 4mm Allen key, which is on the other side of the bike. I'll show a picture right now. It may be a 5mm, it may be a 6mm on your bike, but it is just an Allen bolt, and you find where you want your seat to be at, and then you just simply tighten this bolt down and it will keep your seat in place. Easy enough. And then the next thing that I want to do is put on my front wheel here, and we'll give you a little bit closer view for that. All right, so the first thing that you're going to notice about the fork up here in the front, this is called the fork for anyone who's extremely new to BMX, is that we have this cardboard piece in here. It's kind of a spacer meant to keep the forks and the dropouts from kind of getting dinged around and bent in shipping. We're going to toss that into the box. Grab our front wheel here, toss the cardboard protector for that in the box as well. And we're gonna get our nuts on the front wheel ready to go onto the fork. Loosen those up a little bit. I'm going to check and see if there's a direction to the tire, because if there is a direction to the tire, we want to make sure that it is moving forward. It would be this right here with these arrows moving forward. As you can see, they're facing you right now. And what you're simply going to do is make sure the washers are on the outside of the forks, and you're going to put this up into here, and you're going to finger tighten it down, making sure that it is bottomed out in the dropouts. And what I mean by bottomed out is that the axle is all the way as far into the dropout as it can go. You're going to need a 15mm wrench of some sort to tighten this down all of the way. As you can see, tightening this down. And you might want to give it some good force whenever you're doing this, just to ensure that it is tight and that it's not going anywhere on you. So I think that's going to be good. Spinning well. That is not the rim that is off. As you can see, it is the tire, because very low pressure right now. Moving on from there, we can move towards the back of the bike and put on the pedals and check out some things in the back, but ultimately we're almost done. This is a very simple process, so let's move backward. All right, so you guys may be able to tell that it's very quickly getting dark here. I decided to start filming this video at 7:30 in the afternoon, but we're back here at the back side of the bike here, and we're gonna put on the pedals. And the way you tell the side the pedal goes on is that you take a look at the pedal itself. Usually at this part of the pedal on the axle, it'll say an L or an R if it doesn't have an Allen wrench slot. If it does, the pedal itself somewhere, usually on the insides right in here, will have an L and an R somewhere. So you're going to want to figure that out, and you do not want to cross thread your pedals. You do not want to put the wrong side pedal in the wrong side crank, because it does matter, because BMX pedals have reverse threading on one side, so that when you're tightening these, they're going to tighten to the same direction and loosen to the same direction in rotation in relation to the bike. So what you're going to want to do, if you don't know which pedal is which and you're trying to figure it out, you're going to want to just try lightly threading this in, and if your bike is upright, your pedals are going to tighten towards the front of the bike whenever they're spinning. So as you can see here, we're rotating the axle of the pedal forward towards the front of the bike, and we're actually going to use this because I simply do not have the time to go and grab another one right now. Convenient that they include this with the bike, but we're going to get this tightened on here and then do the other side. Definitely shout outs to Park Tool though, and Park Tool makes the best bicycle tools. And another note that I want to say here while I'm tightening this other side pedal on here, I don't know if you can see my face or not, but I do want to say that if you're not comfortable doing this process as I'm showing right now, then don't feel bad about sending your bike or taking your bike to a bike shop when you buy it online to have them build it. Because bike shops, one, would be happy to build your bike for you when you buy a new one, especially considering the fact that you didn't buy it from them. And two, they will build it right. You won't have to worry about as many issues, or hopefully any issues, because they will be building it correctly for you and notice anything that might not be right with the bike. So we've got the pedals on, and essentially this bike is now built. I think the last thing that we need to do here, and what I would recommend anyone do when building a complete BMX bike out of a box, is checking everything. This back wheel is supposed to be in the right spot. The brakes are obviously being affected right now by the stand itself, but I'm going to make sure that this back wheel is tightened down so that we don't have to worry about anything. And yes, it is tightened, but checking it is always going to be better. So another thing that we're going to want to check as I grab the Allens are the crank arm bolts. Make sure that these are tight, which these are indeed tight. Make sure that the pinch bolt is tight as well if you have pinch bolt cranks. Yes. And Yes, we already tightened our pedals, but it may not ever be a bad idea to double check them. And now we're gonna move forward. Actually, we're gonna get the bike off of the stand because it's all the way put together. We're gonna take a look at the brakes and see if there's anything we need to do there. And then we're done. This is a very simple process, as I said. And as you can see here, it's like pretty much dark at this point, but there's a couple more areas up front of things that we want to check as far as how tight things are goes. We definitely want to check these side stem bolts. We want to make sure that those are tight, which these actually are not fully tight right now. So it's a good thing that we're checking them. I suppose before this we should have checked our headset, but a quick check here shows that it is indeed tight, so I'm just going to double check that it's at least snug up here, which it is, so I'm assuming that's okay. But these stem bolts, you don't want to tighten them like overly tight, but you also definitely do not want to leave them too loose. Aside from that, we can check our brake lever. We already tightened the front wheel, which you can double check if you feel comfortable doing so. The brake lever definitely is one that you're going to want to probably move because it's not in the most optimal position. You can see I moved it up a little bit more here, and it definitely seems to be better that way. I hope you can see it with how dark it actually is. This was our race against the clock, but we made it happen. Real quick here, I want to interrupt because obviously while I was filming this video, it was getting dark and I was starting to rush. There's a couple other things that you do want to check over on your bike before we say that we are done building up the bike. The first of those is the tire pressure. As you can see here, these tires are shipped with very low pressure in them, and we need to pump them up. So while you're doing this, if you don't know your preferred PSI yet in your tires, you will find it eventually, but a safe place to start is probably, I would say, 60 pounds because most complete BMX bikes are going to come with tires on them that can hold 60 pounds. From there, you can figure out if you like it while you're riding it and experiment and adjust. But that's a great place to start. Another thing to take a look at is your handlebar position in relation to forward and backward in the stem. This is totally reliant on personal preference. So you can get it somewhere that you may think that you'll like if you've never ridden BMX before. You can get it to your preferred place if you have, but then once you're actually riding the bike, you can move it and adjust or see what you actually like. Same goes for the seat positioning. That's not quite as vital because it's just where you're sitting. And also, you do want to check where your fork and handlebars are in relation to left and right, because you can have these off. And it's something that we took a look at early, and also something that's a little bit more vital and not quite up to personal preference is where your handlebars and stem align with the forks. You want them to be perfectly straight with each other so that when your handlebars are straight, your forks are straight, your wheel is straight, and you're moving forward. If they're off, you can imagine one will be off, and that means both will be off, and it's going to be off. So you want to make sure that that is correct. And that's it as far as things that you really want to double check on this bike. There's things in the future that you're going to want to check, such as your chain tension and your spoke tension. Your spoke tension is how tight your spokes are. As you ride this bike, because these wheels are newly built, they're going to break in, the spokes are going to break in, and you may end up having to take your bike to the bike shop or true your wheels yourself and get them properly tensioned again. That's something to be aware of, but not something you have to worry about when you're first building the bike. So ultimately, that's pretty much everything that you should need to worry about when building up your brand new complete BMX bike out of the box. I hope it helped you, and now we can cue the rest of the video. So now we can see with our brakes that the brakes are indeed working. They may need some adjustment, but this is the kind of thing that you guys can watch my other videos to learn how to do, because these are normal U-brakes for BMX bikes, and I have a ton of videos on how to adjust them as far as spring tension. Oh, there's my buddy John. As far as spring tension and everything else goes. So a big thank you to Stacked for being so willing to get involved with this cause and donate this complete bike to it. A big thank you to you for watching this video, and I hope it helped you build your brand new complete BMX bike. So thank you for watching. If it did help you and you're new here or you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button down below. We'll see you tomorrow for another one. Thanks for watching.